Hey guys, welcome to the virtual training for the non-writing SOL testing. I've only got 15 minutes on the free version of this, so I'm going to talk pretty quickly. Take notes if you need to, ask questions later if you need to. I'm going to go pretty quickly. We got our calendar all set up. That's no different than it has been for the past couple of weeks. As you're aware, testing will be done in the house areas, grade level by grade level, using all available classrooms, as well as computer labs and library as necessary. Just stay tuned every day. I'm going to send out the schedule for the next day with all the specifics that you need to know. Before we get started, I really need everyone to do this training. That is teachers, TAs, secretaries, admin, deans, counselors, everyone. Because anybody could get pulled into a testing session. We want to make sure everyone has the training. So, once you're done with watching this video, I need you to sign the sheet that's on my door. There is a test security agreement that I've attached to the email. I need a signed copy of that. Double check the schedule to make sure you are where you need to be when you need to be there. And pay attention. I'm going to send out email updates. If there's a change that's affecting you, I will try to do individual emails. And just ask that we be flexible. I think the schedule is in pretty good shape, but life happens, and sick kids, and car accidents, and so just be flexible, and we will all get through this together. In terms of prepping your classrooms, if your classroom is going to be hosting an SOL test, there's just a little bit that needs to get done ahead of time. Do your best to try and arrange desks and furniture, tables, whatever you've got in there. Oh, look at that spelling error. I'm going to fix that. To make it as test-friendly as possible. One thing, posters are always a big concern. Just because it has words on it doesn't mean it's a problem. If it's content-specific language, if you've got stuff, quotes from Thomas Jefferson or a picture of the three branches of government, those should not be up on the wall during the civics test. They're fine on the wall during the science test. So just use your judgment. I can do a spot check, anything you have questions on. When in doubt, cover it up or take it down, err on the side of caution. I'm not terribly worried about this, but take a look around and get a second set of eyes if you need to. I recommend, if you don't want to totally reorganize, get the butcher paper out of the workroom. Use the less popular colors if possible. These are the two documents you're going to see. This one on the left here is the sign-in sheet for this training. I need your name and signature and date on that. It's hanging on my door. The test security agreement is the one that's on the email. This is the fourth page. I attached two documents. One is the full thing of everything you're agreeing to. This is the signature page. So I just need a copy of that signature page from everybody. On the day of the test, I will be setting up in the teacher workroom of whatever grade level we're testing that day. I would love to get everyone in there and grabbing their stuff by 8 o'clock. I recognize that's probably an unrealistic expectation to get everybody, but I will be there by hopefully 7:30 every morning to come and get all of your stuff. Devices are a concern. We're going to be working on a system there to make sure that you have the appropriate number. So if you know how many you've got in your room and you know how many kids you have, we'll know how many devices you need to get. We will be building out a sign-up sheet to make sure the devices we borrow from folks get back to the correct carts. So all that will be clear on testing day. If at all possible, it would be awesome if you have all the Chromebooks in your testing room set up. So I made a little quick video instruction for that to help you know how to do it.
So this is the screen that you're going to be seeing when you open up the Chromebooks for the kids. To get them to TestNav, it's actually really simple. Do not have them log in with the arrow. If at all possible, you can do this ahead of time for them. Scroll down to the Apps button, little waffle. Click on there. Scroll up to TestNav. And boom goes the dynamite.
Super simple. Again, if you can do that ahead of time to have one less thing that gets in the way of getting testing started, that would be great. If not, kids can do it. They're pretty capable. All right, so my organization system are these red bins. So what is going to be in that box or bin? Lots of stuff. You're going to have a folder that has 2 copies of your roster for that testing session and your test tickets. Test tickets are smaller than last year. We're saving some paper. So they're going to be about quarter sheet. But those you'll have copies of, and we'll talk more about those later. You'll have a manual. That's going to be all paper clipped and ready to go to just the section you need with what you need to say highlighted. List of general proctoring reminders that I'll put together before we get going. pencils and scratch paper. Post-it notes for devices if you're collecting them. We'll talk more about that. Mints, 1 per student, please no more. Any additional materials depending on the test. Also instructions for accommodations for what to do with students that have the audio testing or frequent breaks, that sort of thing. So I'll have all that in the bin. Calculators are only for math days, obviously, and then science a little bit. If you're proctoring, you're going to need to pick up your calculator. Someone needs to proofread this. There will be an inventory system, so we get them there and back and get them back to the teachers from whom they belong. Graphing calculators, there's an additional set of instructions that as the proctor of the test, if you could clear out the memory on the graphing calculators, they'll be ready for the next testing session. I'll have very specific instructions for that. Getting started. So we're going to dismiss kids from the holding areas probably a couple minutes early since it's so grade level specific. But they will be reporting directly to their testing location, ready to go at 8:30. My recommendation is to seat them alphabetically. Get them in there, get them into a seat, don't let them pick their own. Alphabetical plus common sense. If you see 2 alphabetically inclined children that shouldn't be sitting next to each other, don't let them sit next to each other. If at all possible, as you're setting up, you can have Chromebook, test ticket, all those supplies, the mints, pencils, everything set up before they walk in the room. That makes it go really smoothly. Taking attendance, you're going to have 2 copies of your roster. One is for paper attendance. Take attendance as the kids are coming into the room. It's probably the easiest. One of the hallway runners will come around and grab that. Don't wait. 8:30, you're good to go. If someone's coming in late, I will handle that. Personal stuff. They're going to be told about 1,000 times not to bring anything electronic with them. So they shouldn't. If you see them coming in and they've got one, send them back to their locker. If it's after 8:30, you can collect it. It's in the instructions. It's going to prompt you. You can collect them up, turn them off, or have the students turn them off, put a sticky note on them, and turn them back. All other books and personal items should be placed under the desk until the end. Reading test directions, and we'll get more into this in the second presentation. Word for word. Say where it says say, what it says to say. Be a robot on this. No inflection, just read it. I mean, if I could have a recording of the instructions read by a robot, I would, but we don't. So just don't improvise, read the script, stick to it. Test tickets are secure materials. You got to keep track of them. They do have to sign their test tickets. This piece here where it says testing device ID, you don't have to do that. That's only for iPads. It does not apply to us. As a proctor, your responsibility is to make sure that everything stays secure. Walk the room. Proximity really helps. If you're constantly moving, the kids aren't going to try and get up to stuff. Now, I recognize walking around a room for 90 minutes or 3 hours in total silence could lead you into a rubber room like this. Feel free to bring a book. Check your email every now and then. Grade some paper. I mean, do what you need to do to maintain sanity. But sitting in the corner at your desk is not a good idea. That leads to the possibility of kids having to take this test again. So find a nice balance, and you'll be able to make it work. Now, the big change for this year is that we're not going to have a second person in the room. One proctor, one room, for by and large the most part. We will have staff in the hallways to support with bathroom breaks, with teacher breaks. Please, if you're proctoring a test, take a break. We're not expecting you to just be locked in there for 3 hours. Like, if you need to get coffee, stretch, breath of fresh air, that's why we have support in the hallway. So please, please, please take advantage of that. Student needs a drink of water, and you can see a water fountain. You can just open the door and watch them go there and come back. We don't need to get a second person for that. If you are the second half of the session proctor, just make every effort to get there on time, because we do have folks that need to get to class and that have other commitments. Special ed and ELL accommodations. If this applies to students in your session, I will have a guide for you that highlights who receives what and what that looks like in a testing environment. So more to come on that. If you are a runner, hallway support, we need you there. And we're going to be short on a couple of days if you look at the schedule. So if you are on planning those days, I did everything in my power to protect planning blocks, but if you could come hang out in the house area for 20 or 30 minutes during that planning on days where we're short, that's going to be essential. Admin team, I'm going to be leaning on you, especially you, Katone. Most of what that role is is walking kids to the bathroom, then standing awkwardly outside the bathroom door, and then walking them back to class. That's the vast majority of it. But also giving breaks to the folks that are proctoring in the room, helping out with collection, helping out with moving kids to the library if they still need more time to test. So there's a lot that goes into that. Troubleshooting. If something goes wrong with TestNav, if a kid gets kicked out of a test, call me. Get one of the runners, pick up the white phone. Some of that I can do remotely, but I'm going to be right there in the house. I'll get to you, and I'll get there as soon as I can. If it takes a minute or two, because I'm working with another student, just have the kids sit and relax, and I will get there ASAP. Disruption. If you got kids that are misbehaving, we're not going to tolerate that. Give them a gentle warning. Hey, I need you to stop talking. I need you to keep your eye on the screen, whatever it is. They're not tied to a desktop like in the computer labs. Relocate them. If you've got a space where they can be in a different part of the room, fine. If it gets beyond that, call for backup. Flag someone down the hall, pick up the white phone. If necessary, I'll move them elsewhere. We got plenty of other places where we're doing testing. And talking with your students between now and then, if we've got to move them, they're giving up that time after school. There will be additional consequences. End of the test. They raise their hand, and you walk over and you stand awkwardly behind them, and all that we can say is, are you ready to submit your test? Don't say, are you sure you're ready to submit your test? We can't do any of that. They get to the end of the test. It's their choice. And I'll get more into that in the irregularities piece. They close it, read a book until they're done. If they're done testing, they don't technically need an escort to the bathroom, but not a bad idea to keep that rolling. At the end of the test, all students in your session collect up their tickets, organize everything as best you can in your bin, let one of the hallway runners know that you're done. I'll get all of your stuff. If we get to the end of the block and that's not possible, just hang on to your stuff, lock it up in your wardrobe. I'll be back for it. Overflow testing will be in the library. Depending on circumstance, I will try and get that started about 11:25. If I take your stuff from you, then you're not responsible for it. I am anticipating, and I'll sign the form. I am anticipating math, particularly high school math classes, being the issue there. If we all get done early, all test sessions are budgeted for 3 hours, which is longer for some than it has been in the past. I'm going to be monitoring this as we go. If we get to a point where the vast majority of students are done and we could do overflow in the library and get back to our day, we will do that. And I'll move kids early, and there'll be an announcement. And we'll say, hey, we're getting back to A34 or B34. And so just be prepared for that. I think that is a serious possibility on the civics and science days. That's it for now. There is always room for questions. I'm sure that I've missed something. Email is a great way to reach out. I managed to do this in 12 minutes and 58 seconds.